Hi guys, welcome back or welcome to Switch to Life. And in today's video, in preparation for Disney's upcoming Moana 2, we are going to be reviewing the first Moana movie. And I really like this movie. Sadly, I might have to say that it might be Disney's last truly great movie. Yes, I know that some people love Encanto a bit more, but honestly, not me. Moana is better. But honestly, the fact that Moana is getting a sequel next week is proof that Disney considers this movie good, especially considering the fan reception. Not only did this movie have great quality animation, which I gotta say that I got a love-hate relationship with Moana's animation. The problem is that originally Moana was going to be 2D animated. Unfortunately, Disney just decided 3D is cheaper and easier to animate with, so they decided to change Moana to 3D animation, and because of that, there was never a 2D Disney movie again. Yep, the last 2D Disney movie was Winnie the Pooh back in 2011. After that, it's just been computer animation. Honestly, though, I do love the animation they used for Moana. Not only do the characters have beautiful flowing hair, which, if you know, in computer animation is extremely hard to animate, but another thing that's hard to animate is the water. And the fact that water, or rather the ocean, is literally a main character that's with us throughout the entire movie is actually a pretty monumental feat. I guess what I'm saying is that I love the animation, including the character designs as well as the Polynesian culture, and not to mention all of the landscapes and even the monsters that are involved in this movie, which I'm kind of going to get into later. But I also love the Hawaiian cultural representation, which is really awesome. And I also like the voice acting. The fact that we got Ali Krivale as Moana, she did an amazing job. Even better, though, was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Maui. And honestly, these two characters, as well as their dynamic and their relationship, is what carried this movie. I definitely enjoyed that. However, one thing that I really enjoyed is the music. Yes, obviously I enjoyed the Disney music, but more importantly, the background music. You can tell that there's a lot of Polynesian inspiration from that music. But of course, when people talk about Disney music, they mostly mean the songs where the characters are singing. And I love the songs because we have banger after banger, like How Far I'll Go, Where You Are, Where We Are, and of course, my personal favorites, You're Welcome, and of course, Shiny. I also really enjoyed the story. Not only was it emotional in quite a lot of scenes, but there was also a lot of really funny humor, which I absolutely loved, especially from Hey Hey. I also kind of wanted Pua to be involved more in this movie, but after going back, I realized that there was only enough screen time for one animal sidekick. Hopefully, they'll do a better job handling both of them in the sequel. As for the story, let's talk about it. So, before the movie starts, we hear Grandma Tala talking about the origins of the goddess Te Fiti and how she brought life to the world. And about 1,000 years ago, a demigod named Maui decided to steal the heart of Te Fiti.
Because I stole a rock, which unbeknownst to me was actually the heart organ of a giant raging lava lady who knocked my hook into the ocean, which takes place before the events of this story.
And because of it, ended up unleashing a demon of earth and fire named Tekal. And Tekal managed to punch Maui to the point where Maui lost both the heart and his hook to the ocean and ended up stranded on an island for 1,000 years. After that, without Te Fiti to give life, disease spread throughout the entire ocean. And it was really slow because it took over 1,000 years. And that's when we meet baby Moana.
Goo gaga! I'm baby Moana!
Who I really enjoyed this scene where she's being tested by the ocean. She can either grab a beautiful seashell or rescue a baby turtle from a bunch of birds. She decides to rescue the turtle, and because of that, passes the test and is rewarded with a lot of shells and the heart of Te Fiti.
The ocean chose me!
And fortunately, her father shows up, and the thing is, her dad has an intense fear of the ocean, and for a while, you think, man, this guy is a real jerk and not supporting Moana's dreams. But then you realize that he actually has a very good reason. One time, he went out fishing with his friend, and unfortunately, there was a storm, and his friend didn't make it. I'm really happy that they didn't just make him a jerk dad. They actually gave him a reason for him not supporting Moana and her dreams. And because of that, we actually get a chance to see how good of a guy this is. Not only does he care about his family to a point where he'll do anything to protect them, but he also cares extremely about his village. And he also wants to make sure that when he's gone, Moana will be ready to step up as the next chief. And he does everything in his power to make sure that happens. And he does an amazing job at it. Moana is an excellent chief in training. Unfortunately, this is when the disease finally catches up to the island, and so Moana gets the brilliant idea that since there's no fish in the lagoon, they should fish beyond the reef. And I honestly loved what happened after they have an argument about that. Moana tries to be the perfect daughter, but in the end, she just decides to take a boat and go beyond the reef to try to go fishing. And it's at this point that she finally understands why her father fears the ocean. This isn't just a beautiful thing, it's actually something that can be incredibly dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. And so Moana decides to give up on her dream. And that's when Grandma Tala shows up, and she's all,
Okay, well, you do your thing, I'ma do my thing.
and I really love that, because, I mean, at this point, you expect the village elder, or rather the village crazy lady, which I really love that Grandma Tala owns up to that name.
I'm the village crazy lady. That's my job.
But anyway, at this point, you expect the village elder to try to convince the main character to go do the quest, even if it's hard. Unfortunately, she just doesn't. And so Moana is a little disappointed, and that's when Grandma Tala says, "Is there something that you want to hear from me?" So I really enjoyed that. Anyway, Grandma Tala tells Moana about how their ancestors used to be voyagers, and then how Moana was chosen to be the deliverer for Te Fiti's heart. All of this inspires Moana to try to get her people to band together to go on the quest, and unfortunately her father just doesn't really want anything to do with the ocean, and he tries to thwart it before it even starts. And then Grandma Tala is about to pass away, and Moana realizes that she needs to go and do this quest on her own. Luckily, after she takes a boat, Grandma Tala passes away, but is reincarnated as a spiritual manta ray and shows her the path to get beyond the reef. And after that, Moana goes across the ocean, and I love how trying that this is. She doesn't really know what she's doing, and because of that, there's a lot of struggle, which I really loved. But anyway, Moana eventually makes her way to Maui's island.
It is I, Maui, demigod of the wind and sea.
At which point, Maui steals her boat after distracting her with a very nice song. And while it does take a little bit of convincing from Moana, the ocean, even Mini Maui, who is a living tattoo on Maui's body, who is a character that I really love, and even an attack from some Kakamora, which are basically little coconut pirates.
What? Even coconut people!
Maui finally decides to join Moana on her quest to restore Te Fiti's heart.
Board my boat. No. Why? But you'll be awesome. Okay.
But first, he needs to get his demigod's power back, and to do that, he needs to find his magical fish hook. Luckily, he somehow knows right where it is, in the realm of monsters, Lalotai.
Realm of monsters? Ah! Grandma, help me!
And I gotta say that I both like and hate the realm of monsters in this movie. I love it because it's just so beautiful and we get a bunch of really cool creatures. Problem is, I don't think we spent enough time in the realm of monsters monsters, because while we did get to see a few monsters, we didn't get to see a lot, and the few that we did see only showed up on screen for about 5 seconds, with the exception of one.
I hate my grandma. I'm so shiny.
Tamatoa, who pretty much got his own Disney song in Shiny, which is, in my opinion, the best song in the entire movie. Maui tries to use Moana as a distraction so that he can get his fish hook from Tamatoa, and when that happens, Maui tries to transform, and he's a little out of practice. So, unfortunately, Tamatoa uses this to try to torture Maui, as well as reveal a little bit about his past. We learned that Maui wasn't always a demigod. He was actually a normal human baby whose parents just took one look at him and decided to throw him into the ocean for no good reason. I feel really sorry for Maui. Luckily, he was eventually found by the gods, and they decided to turn him into a demigod. Since then, Maui has been trying to earn the respect and love of humanity by doing a bunch of great things for them. And while the people did love him as a hero, it was never enough. They were never satisfied. They never loved him for who he was. And this is why Maui stole the heart of Te Fiti. He wanted to give it to humanity so they could have the power to create life itself, and in return, he would get their love and affection, which is honestly a really sad origin. But anyway, Moana and Maui try to work together to fix Maui's abilities so that he can transform correctly.
Transformation. Fish. Goat. Shark egg.
And when they finally do, they show up to Te Fiti's island, where they have to face the giant lava monster named Tekal. And Tekal ends up fighting against them and unfortunately breaks Maui's hook.
Oh, this hook is broken. I'm so out.
And this makes Maui decide to leave. And this is when Moana loses all confidence and decides to give the heart of Te Fiti back to the ocean so that the ocean can choose the right deliverer instead of her. And that happens to be when Grandma Tala shows up in spirit form.
Why is that fish glowing? Grandma!
And she inspires Moana to continue the quest even without Maui. She has everything that she needs.
I know everyone here probably knows this already, but in case you don't, I am Moana!
And so, Moana goes off on the quest and goes to Tekal's island, where she uses her wayfinding skills and a plan to outsmart Tekal and get past her so that she can get to Te Fiti. And that happens to be when Maui shows up at the last minute to save Moana, which I kind of both liked and didn't like. I liked that Maui was finally willing to put himself in danger because one more hit from the magic hook and he would lose his powers permanently. But despite that, he decides to help protect Moana. Great for Maui's character, not so great for Moana, because she's supposed to be the hero of this story, and while she is, she needs a demigod to protect her during the final battle. Yeah, I didn't really enjoy that part of Maui's return, but I do love the fact that Maui decided to return. Anyway, Moana continues her quest to get to Te Fiti, except Te Fiti isn't there. And that's when Moana realizes that Tekal is Te Fiti.
If I only had a heart.
So, Moana decides to go in a one-on-one conversation with Tekal and try to calm her down enough so that she could finally restore the heart of Te Fiti.
I have crossed the horizon to find you.
And when that happens, Tekal turns back into the goddess Te Fiti.
Calm down, Tekal!
And she brings life back into the world. And I really enjoyed that even though Maui made a big mistake in pretty much dooming her to turn into a fire demon, she decided to forgive him and even gave him a brand new fishhook after his old one was destroyed. And the movie ends with Moana returning to her people and, well, you might be thinking, if the ocean is so powerful to the point where it can literally choose someone to bring Tekal the heart of Te Fiti, why doesn't the ocean just bring Tekal the heart of Te Fiti? Well, I think that a very big reason for that, and Maui goes into detail about this, the ocean didn't just want to restore peace. It actually enjoyed it in the old days when Maui would pull up islands out of the ocean and then Moana's ancestors would sail and discover those islands. The reason that this quest was happening was so that Maui could teach Moana wayfinding skills, at which point, after the quest is completed, Moana could return to her island and teach her island about the wayfinding skills. Side note, I also love how Maui was reluctantly forced to teach Moana these wayfinding skills by the ocean. Luckily, he does manage to teach her these skills in a way that's really funny and makes him laugh.
Peeing in the ocean.
But anyway, I do believe that those wayfinding skills are going to come up in the sequel, because we know that it's about Moana trying to reunite the people across the entire ocean. The ocean is what connects the people. This isn't a story about trying to restore peace by returning Te Fiti's heart. It's about trying to teach Moana how to be a wayfinder so that she can recreate wayfinding culture. That's why they had a super powerful character like the ocean taking a sideline, and I really enjoyed that they actually had an explanation. So I really only have two critiques for this movie. First, we didn't really spend enough time in the realm of monsters. And second, and this doesn't really have anything to do with the movie, but since this was supposed to be 2D animated and then it wasn't, it officially marked the death of 2D animation at Disney. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Does this movie really need a sequel? Well, no, but if Disney had to make a sequel, I would say that this was a good pick to get one. But with that in mind, since Moana 2 is coming out next week, I hope that you subscribe so that you can watch my review of Moana 2 when it goes live sometime within the next 2 weeks. And if you want, I hope you support the channel by becoming a member by clicking the join button down below, or, just do the free option and subscribe. But I hope you're all staying safe out there, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.
If my name was Sebastian and I had a cool Jamaican accent, you'd totally help me. You would, you know you would.